In perhaps the stupidest version of events, the Trump administration, turns out, were texting on a group chat about how they were going to bomb Yemen. And they accidentally added the Atlantic's very own Jeffrey Goldberg into the group chat. Now, it's a suspicious set of circumstances considering who Jeffrey Goldberg is and the roles that Jeffrey Goldberg has played. I don't know if it's like literally an accident or they deliberately did this, but because they're so stupid, I assume it was a happy accident for them. Jeffrey Goldberg is a former IDF prison guard, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, and also has run cover for American foreign policy that justified the invasion of Iraq through channeling the lies, repeating the lies that the American State Department was telling at the time. But yeah, they had a Signal group chat, and I guess they accidentally added the wrong Jeffrey IDF onto the Signal group chat. What's funny to me about the story is that The Atlantic is so obviously a core part of the pro-war propaganda apparatus that someone thought of adding the editor-in-chief to a Pentagon group chat. He thinks this makes the Trump admin look bad. I think it makes The Atlantic look bad too. Yes, I think so as well. I think Nathan J. Robinson cooked here. I think that's precisely the reason why Jeffrey was accidentally added into the group chat. I find it so strange when this administration, due to its sheer incompetence or lack of interest in sheltering you from the truth because they have a fuck you gonna do about it attitude about it all, have revealed America's intentions that leftists like myself talk about all the time, and then everybody yells at me and says I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's hilarious that this has happened virtually every week since the beginning of this admin, where Trump will just come out and straight up be like, Saudi oil, we gotta protect it. That's why while we strike Yemen, we got to extract some funds, right? Or even in text messages like this, they're just so incompetent. Now, like I said, I don't know if this is truly an accident. News, Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg reports that senior Trump administration officials mistakenly added him to a Signal group chat. National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes says the text chain appears to be authentic. The group discussed planning for the bombings, current intelligence assessments, and debated whether to launch the military action. The Vice President, the Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, Secretary of State, Stephen Witkoff, the GOAT, Director of National Intelligence, CIA Director, and Trump's Chief of Staff. The debate over the bombings includes VP Vance arguing against striking, saying only 3% of trade passes through the Red Sea. Ratcliffe, the CIA director, weighing in story. Hegseth arguing that waiting a month wouldn't change anything. Goldberg says he didn't realize the chat was real until the bombings began on March 15th. Mike Walsh celebrated in the chat with multiple emojis. What's the argument for doing this on purpose? I get not trusting this journalist, but this text chain seems like almost exclusively a bad look for them. Occam's razor here seems pretty clearly to be they're fucking morons. I mean, because the text, you want to know why? Because the text messages kind of reveal that they are very professional and cordial with one another, and that there's like internal back and forth on this. You know what I mean? Like they were having like serious conversations when we know that these are not so serious people. And also, there's no such thing as a bad look for this administration. You can only shame someone who has the capability of being shamed. If a person does not have the capability of shame, then you can't shame them.
This just in, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was accidentally texted war plans.
Yeah, we literally just received this piece from The Atlantic, and in it, Goldberg writes, U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling.
Well, we'll know it's real if they find a reason to arrest Goldberg. They're never... Are you kidding me? That would be crazy. First of all, why... What? You think the guy who is in charge of The Atlantic, who literally works at the behest of the State Department, is going to get arrested for this? What are you, crazy? I mean, I'm sure that they'll go after members of the press. They certainly will. But I don't think they're going to start with The Atlantic.
They probably thought they were adding someone else from within the administration who had a similar name. Why this mistake happened is just the first of a very long list of questions.
Wow. It's interesting because Goldberg writes that he had very strong doubts that this text group was real. I could not believe that the national security leadership of the United States would communicate on Signal about imminent war plans. I also could not believe that the national security advisor to the president would be so reckless, he writes, as to include the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic in such discussions with senior U.S. officials. Secretary, what's your reaction to this reporting?
Well, it's obviously a very serious mistake on the part of whoever included Goldberg in this highly classified chain of command messaging that went on that involved war plan. To have had somebody from the Atlantic on that chain, without question, was a serious mistake. And I hope the White House takes this seriously, because the last thing you want to do when you're talking about war.
I hope they don't, because honestly, I love the incompetence. I hope they don't take it seriously, and I hope that they keep doing this. I hope that they keep accidentally adding journalists, and real journalists, not Goldberg, who is a fake journalist, but simply a stenographer for the State Department. But instead they have like real journalists on there, you know, that'd be sick. Of course, that'll never happen, because I don't think that any real journalist is going to be a phone number, is going to have their phone number saved in the phone of Mike Waltz. War Thunder Discord in disarray after being outflanked by a drunk. Yeah. I have a suspicion that they meant to include Deputy Assistant to the President and Deputy Homeland Security Advisor Joshua Geltzer. Makes you wonder whether or not that it was done intentionally, because that level of incompetence is incomprehensible. It's a very weird situation, because the administration is that fucking stupid. I mean, dude, Pete Hegseth is a Fox News contributor. He's a weekend host, and now he is in charge of the DOD. Like, it's weird, because on the one hand, I'm like, ooh, this is a clever way to just like to do a show of force, because everything that you got from the leak itself is not all that surprising. Like, it's stuff that you imagine them saying in public. So I look at it and I think to myself, like, when a leak like this happens, like, who's doing the leaking is important. Is it a contentious adversarial reporter, or is it someone who has always played the role of going along with the American State Department's interests? And also, what information, more importantly than that, what information did we get out of this leak? And the information that we got out of this leak is just like, you know, JD Vance being like, yeah, fuck Europe, which is, you know, oh, maybe we shouldn't actually do this. They're debating being an isolationist, right? While also talking about how much they despise that Europeans are freeloaders of American security. Like, that in and of itself is stuff that is something that you would see in public. Yeah, Lolo is joking here. In my opinion, not enough slurs for it to be an unintentional leak. I know their asses are sending horrible gifts too. I'm not even joking. This is a joke, but I think this is also real. Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. Oh my God. Tulsi Gabbard is so interesting to me as the DNI. Like, this is her job now, right? The head of serving as the 8th director of national intelligence, right? Tulsi Gabbard is like pro Edward Snowden, but also simultaneously is saying it's so interesting. What's Fox News saying about this? Are you ready? I haven't seen what Fox News' response is, but I will tell you. One, the committee obviously kept their responses incredibly professional. As you can see, this is the most glorious committee that anyone has ever seen. It's so obvious that they are brave, brilliant, and have the Americans' interests at heart. Also, Goldberg should go to prison for even revealing this information instead of politely saying, I'm sorry, and seeing himself out of this chat while the real patriots were discussing bombing Yemen. Okay, that is 100% what the Republican take is going to be.